Hi, and welcome to Relationships and Astrology's video on the new moon in Aquarius, January 2020. I'm Armand Diaz.
And I am Margaret Gray here in Dublin. And Armand, I assume you're in Long Island still.
I am. I think folks know where we are. I don't know if I went someplace else.
No, not if they're new people, they wouldn't know where we are. So, but
Sure.
that's okay.
I am on Long Island.
It's not particularly relevant to the new moon, but I like to throw it in. So what do you think of this new moon in Aquarius, Armand? I mean, there seems to be, let me start first. I'm asking you, but actually what I'm thinking is, and it's kind of a question and a statement, that on the one hand, there's some very romantic energies. On the other hand, there's these very detached energies. So what do you make of this mix for relationships?
You see, Margaret, you're in Aries. You say, Armand, what do you think? No, wait, I'll tell you. I'll tell you what I think.
Well, all right, Mr. Leo. All right, over to you.
So yeah, well, what you said, it's we have a lot of Venus energies coming up as we pull out of the new moon. That's a big thing on the week. We have Venus square Mars on Sunday, and then we get into Venus conjunct Neptune Monday, Tuesday. But the new moon itself in Aquarius is a much more, it is much more about friendships. It's more about groups. It's more about our connections on a sort of societal, social level rather than intimate one-to-one connections. So I guess it's either you get both flavors or choose one or...
Well, we're kind of coming out of this, the Sun square Uranus energy, aren't we? Because that was pretty harsh. And also the Sun aspecting Chiron sextile, sorry, the Moon sextile Chiron. We've kind of had a lot of harsh energies over the past kind of really few days. So this feels like maybe it'll also give us a little bit of detachment to look back and see, well, what did happen this week? If something happened in your relationship, was there new information? Did you get a sudden unexpected shock? And, the worst end of the scale, I suppose, was there a breakup that you didn't want? Or was there a breakup maybe you did want? Or was there a renewal in your relationship? But it does feel like it was just so jagged, whereas this feels kind of like the demarcation point that we're going into very different energies, where there's this Neptunian feel to it, which is much more loving, a little more confused, but more loving, more romantic potentially. Yet the new moon in itself is not really essentially romantic because, as you said, it's about friendships. It's that detachment. So it's quite a mixed bag, really.
It is. It is. I mean, we are with Venus in Pisces. We can always say that the relationship tone is more towards that kind of softer, and it could be romantic. I think, Venus in Pisces is a little bit of sort of a monastic type of thing too. It is a compassionate. It is an opening towards beyond the personal. It's not. When Venus gets into Aries, it's about the personal. Venus in fire signs, well, certainly Leo or Aries. But yeah, Venus in Pisces, it puts everything in a nice soft focus. But it also does look towards a sort of larger compassion.
I think also one of the things, though, to kind of keep in mind with Venus and Pisces is the sacrificial quality sometimes of that Venus, where, somebody does a lot for somebody else and keeps doing it and doing it and doing it, assuming the other person will give back, but without saying so, and then get totally burnt out from doing it. So there's a little bit that kind of savior complex, self-sacrificing, martyrdom, which creates inequality in relationships, because much as we all want to help each other, there needs to be some balance and some equality. And particularly with Venus approaching Neptune, that's something to look out for. Is there anybody in your life that you feel you're sacrificing yourself for, really handing yourself over on a plate. And maybe with the Aquarius new moon, it might be easier to spot that because there is that ability to kind of step back a second and watch, so that before Venus actually gets to Neptune, you're kind of prepared for it. And you can say, okay, I love this person, but that doesn't mean being a doormat or being very passive or handing them everything till there's nothing left. So we really need a bit of that kind of healthy, look after ourselves energy as well.
It'll give you some perspective to have the Aquarius. The sun is in Aquarius, Mercury's in Aquarius. It'll help, and the new moon is in Aquarius, so it'll help to give you some perspective on things. Indeed, Venus approaching Neptune. It's the whole year cycle is beginning. As Venus is going to go forward over the course of the year and aspect Neptune again. So it is kind of like a reset button. And the thing about Venus Neptune, and the things that you're saying are certainly there, and it can manifest in a lot of different ways. It can be this sort of idealization of a relationship. It can also be the sense of hopelessness around relationship. Neptune can sort of work in either way. And so to be aware of those extremes, the sort of the emotional extremes of being way up there or being like really crashing on it. Neptune isn't necessarily, it's not realistic in Saturnian terms.
It's also about unconditional love, isn't it? The whole idea of loving somebody unconditionally and what that means. So there could be a lot of exploring of that. And, the search for the soulmate, the twin soul. I think there is a desire for somebody who will meet us on that soul level when Venus comes together with Neptune, so that there might be a reassessment in relationships, thinking, is this really the person for me on a soul level as well as on an everyday level? Or the search for that. And as you say, it could be also putting somebody on a pedestal, thinking that that's what they are, even if maybe, the relationship itself isn't good. So there's really a lot going on, isn't there, in a way, behind the scenes to this new moon?
There is. Well, we haven't talked about Venus square Mars, which we would usually say would be a kind of fiery, exciting aspect. But I think with Venus in Pisces and Mars in Sagittarius, it could almost be a little bit more of, acting on beliefs and having, like the sentiment and the feeling being a little unclear and so on. There could be a little bit, I think it could like play out more on the idea level or the sense of beliefs rather than like a sort of gut level or physical kind of energy like we, might prefer it to be.
Although it might motivate us to take action. Somebody's kind of met somebody they really like. It might be a good motivating, it might just give that energy that Mars and Sag, to actually do something about it rather than just admire somebody from a distance. So we kind of need a little bit of injection of fiery energy, don't we? I mean, really, because we've had so much. We still have a lot of Capricorn, which is Earth, which is kind of heavy. We're still in the Saturn-Pluto conjunction energy, which is heavy. Now we're going into the Aquarian energy, which is very mental, ideas, ideals, very collective based. So we really could do with a little bit of fire and dynamism in order to get things going, because it's hard without fire to get things going. Not just because we're both fire signs, but
I was going to say, we're getting to Aries soon enough, Margaret.
Yeah.
I know what you're hinting about. We'll get to Aries soon enough. But it's true. And Sag it's the last of the fire signs. It is a little bit more mental. It is a little bit more ideational. But it is fiery, and it is happening on the waxing new moon. It is coming out of the new moon, so it's growing. So there is some potential for that. We'll see. So early though, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, right around that area, coming out of the new moon. That's the big opportunity period.
And don't forget you still got a couple of days to sign up for our course, our online course. These are the last 2 days and the last few spaces. So
gosh, I'm getting scared now. Now you put it that
way. It's happening, but the new moon is a wonderful time to sign up on relationships and astrology. If you want to understand more about your own relationships or you want to practice as a relationship astrologer, this is a unique course that specializes in that. So we'd love to hear from you. So do get in touch.
The link is below.
Great.
I'll see you next time,
See you
Margaret.
soon. Bye, Armand. Bye-bye.